get started.
And may I say, if we have any committee members that are as attendees right now and are trying to join, but maybe had a different name in their account or something, that they can raise their hand and we can promote them to panelists. That would be just for committee members, not for people that are presenting tonight.
It looks like there were a couple of attendees that had their hands raised.
Yay!
And they
I don't know what that
dropped.
means. Does that mean they
Right.
have a question?
Well,
I'm
it
gonna-
could mean they have a question and we are trying to get the committee members involved first before we start off the meeting, before we start trying to address a lot of specific questions. This is going to be an interesting evening because frankly, we've never done these, as many of you know, in a virtual environment, and it's going to be a little challenging.
So we have one hand raised right now. I may allow them to speak so they can share whether they're a committee member under a different name. Well, they all dropped. Yes, okay. Looks like Jude Laude has, I'm gonna allow you to talk just in case you're part of the committee.
No, I'm sorry, Jude is with Infant Welfare Society.
Okay, then.
Hi, everyone. I'm just making sure that I'm okay because I saw that I was muted, but I'm not part of the committee. I'm from the Youth Job Center.
Right.
Okay,
Thank
all right. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe what we could do is we could read the names we can see and let all those people know that they are showing up, and would that make sense? So I see, I'm going to just go through the list. Obviously, Jude Lode, we thank you. Erin Neal, Carol Teskey, Colette Allen, Daniel Halilovic, Deepa Mehta, Emily Ornstein, Jennifer Klein, Jennifer Jenks, Kathy Honeywell, Kim Hammock, Loretta, I'm going to massacre your name, Esprit, Maggie McGinnis, Mark Brown, Mary Matz, Patricia Blumen, Sharon Hilliard, Stephen Vick, Ted Carroll, Tiffany Culpepper, Trish Rudnicki, Vicky Osborne. Hopefully, I don't see any names that look like committee member names, so it is after 7:10. So I honestly think that we should get going. You know what, Jessica, I'm gonna come on camera because I feel like I'm being rude, and I don't mean to do that. Thank you all for coming. As you've probably been hearing, as we're trying to figure out how to do this is really quite a different environment for us to be doing application reviews. And so we've got new application format, new application review process, being electronic, and still the effects of COVID. What more could we ask for you to put up with? We're grateful for your applications and all the work you're doing, all of the agencies. And we, as probably many of you are aware, we have new council members that were seated on Monday, and 3 of the members of the Housing and Community Development Act Committee, 3 of the council members that were on the committee have retired, and the council members have not been assigned to their committee responsibilities at this point. So we are recording everything because we're going to be getting everybody up to speed after the fact in some cases, after the applications. And we're going to follow much of our regular procedure, though, to try to make it as easy as possible for people to get up to speed. So I'm going to turn this over to Jessica Wingerter, who I think virtually everybody knows because you've been working with her, to give a brief explanation of how we're going to try to make this work tonight. And then we'll get going through the applications. And again, thank you so much for being here. And please be patient with any technological issues we end up having. And if you have problems, please let us know by raising your hand or whatever means. That's the way we're going to be able to see if there are problems. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. So hello, everyone. It is nice to share this space with all who are able to attend. Thank you, everyone, for your time. The guidelines for this year for agencies who applied in the past are pretty similar to prior years. We're adapting, obviously, for Zoom and our webinar format. Each agency can have 1 to 2 representatives speak on behalf of the agency. So as Sarah mentioned, right now, all agency representatives are attendees. We are going to go in order of our agenda. So starting with books and breakfast and going through until everyone has had a chance to present. If agency representatives could please, yes, raise your hand to identify yourselves. I think I know everyone, but I just want to make sure that I'm getting the right people up on the screen so you can be seen. And that's a great point. Please remember, or please have your camera on. The reason we're having cameras off is so that when this video is posted, the people who are presenting and talking will have the full screen. And as in years past, this is an opportunity for agencies to introduce themselves, promote their services, and connect with the community, whether it's through reaching volunteers or hopefully donors or people in our community who could really use your services. So to that end, presenters, please give us your name, your title, the agency you're representing and where that agency is located, the phone number, website, or contact information for your agency, and then a brief statement of services. All agencies submitted incredibly detailed applications, so thank you, everyone. We know that a ton of work and passion and labor went into those applications. We asked agencies to apply for robust case management programs, working with families and individuals with really complex needs. Some applicants may not entirely fit that brief, but this is their opportunity to present more information to our allocating body and to provide more information about their services. Additionally, staff took those very detailed, intricate applications and crunched them down into the staff summaries that were presented in the packet. If anything was misrepresented, understated, or overstated, this is also the agency representatives' opportunities to set the record straight. So please feel free to do that. That being said, we'd like to keep presentations to about 5 minutes and give our Mental Health Board and our Housing and Community Development Act committee members the opportunity to ask any questions. I think I've covered everything, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. Yep. And with that, I think we can invite Books and, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we'd like to invite Books and Breakfast to speak first.
You've got a hand raised with a question, I believe, and Kim Hammock. So I think we have to find out what that is.
Oh yeah, well that's perfect because Kim is with Books and Breakfast. So
oh, then she's raising her hand because of that.
Yes.
Yay, thank you, Kim.
The system is working.
Great, thank you.
Oh, great.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm glad the system is working. This is new for me to be on a webinar. Thanks so much for allowing Books and Breakfast to present tonight, and good to see all of you all. My name is Kim Hammock. I'm the Executive Director of Books and Breakfast. To reach our organization, please feel free to use my email, kimh@booksbreakfast.org, or to give me a call at 847-477-016, or you can reach us through our website, which is booksbreakfast.org. So good to be with you all tonight. I really appreciate your time and your consideration. If you are new to Books and Breakfast, I want to introduce us to you. Books and Breakfast is an Evanston-based nonprofit organization. It grew out of grassroots efforts in multiple District 65 schools. Our mission is to advance educational equity in Evanston schools with the goal that every student in Evanston can have everything they need to be successful. Our primary strategy is to offer a before school program in District 65 buildings. We offer a healthy morning meal and homework help through hundreds of volunteers and some paid Northwestern student tutors as well. Our goal is that every child who comes to Books and Breakfast can leave the room, leave our meeting ready physically, emotionally, and academically, so that when they enter their classroom, they're really ready for daily learning. And we believe that that is transformative. We began in 2013. We started at schools that specifically had gaps in resources, in breakfast access for kids who needed it, and academic supplementary supports that specifically impacted and still impacts Fifth Ward students who do not attend schools who provide those resources. We've continued to grow with this goal of broader, fuller action towards educational and racial justice in Evanston. We know that we have disparities in our outcomes and disparities in the sense of welcome and inclusion and belonging. And we know that that disproportionately impacts our families and students of color and our students and families coming from lower income backgrounds. And that's our goal, is to see that change and to see Evanston become a place where we really are living out our desires and our words around educational justice and equity. Before the pandemic, we were in 5 District 65 schools at Dewey, Kingsley, Lincolnwood, Lincoln, and Haven, working with over 170 students. As a result of the pandemic and all the challenges that that brought up for students and families, we worked with District 65 to expand our program. So we created an online model and added an additional 6 schools to our remote programming, offering lots and lots of social emotional connection for students who often weren't allowed to take themselves off mute for most of the day. And again, offering one-on-one tutoring for academic support. In addition to that kind of online programming, we've been continuing to deliver resources, care packages to families since COVID hit, at least monthly to every one of our students. And we have been connecting families to additional resources within District 65 or within the Evanston community. Our key strategies around people and relationships. We really believe that when we build authentic relationships, that's where change happens and where deep care can happen. That is what we're hoping happens for every student, every family. We work with over 400 volunteers to be able to get to that one-on-one connection during our program. And then our staff, our amazing staff team, build relationships with parents and teachers to connect resources within District 65 and outside of District 65, so that families and students really do have what they need to have successful experiences in our schools. A few things that are unique about us that I would share is that we are the only before school program with that strategy of equipping students to be able to, the only before school program focusing on those equity issues there. We look for resource gaps and we're constantly pushing to be able to provide our services to more schools and more students. We work with K-8 students, but many programs that are similar to ours don't actually work with K-2, those grade levels. So that makes us unique and makes it really critical, and especially I think in response to the pandemic. 97% of our students are Evanston residents. I thought it was 100%, but we just double checked and we have 7 students that go to Walker that are technically Skokie residents. So all students are District 65 students, 97% are Evanston residents. 93% identify as Black or they qualify for free or reduced lunch. And we have students that represent every ward in Evanston. We have a very, very robust direct programming model, but we also have a strategy that I think makes us unique. We really believe that our local schools can be hubs of resources, that when you build authentic community with connection, you can also help resources that in many ways Evanston is rich in, actually connect with the people who need them the most. So all of our site directors, our wonderful team who are, most of them are either Evanston residents or grew up in Evanston schools. They manage our morning program, but then outside of those hours, they are building relationships with teachers, building relationships with parents, and helping our families access resources first within the district that they may have trouble accessing. There may be barriers to. So additional, in the pandemic, we saw a lot of our families facing food insecurity, but it was very difficult to get to at the very beginning, the PEP fund, which was providing some resources there. So our site managers work as case managers to make sure that even District 65 resources are accessible to our families. We also build partnerships so that our families are able to access multiple other organizations for enrichment purposes. And when crises arise, we partner with the YWCA to have swimming lessons. We've partnered with Mudlark to provide drama lessons, and multiple organizations. But when really hard things come up, our site directors who have already built authentic relationships with parents and family members are often the first ones to be called. And when District 65 doesn't have the resources that families need, we reach out to other organizations for housing issues, employment issues, food insecurity, through COVID, even working with families that had deaths in their family, working on the funds and the resources to take care of medical and even burial needs for their family members. The funding that we've requested in this grant does several different things, but one of the things that we would like to improve on is our ability to track and record and really build on the referrals that are happening as we refer our families to external partners in Evanston. I think we're doing an excellent job of tracking those types of referrals and that type of really targeted intervention within District 65. All of our students are recommended to the program by classroom teachers and social workers and principals. So that we start with a very specific intention with a group of people that are need additional resources and are being seen as potentially at risk of different factors. And then we work with teachers to create a learning plan that we check in with and monitor regularly. But we'd like to improve on our ability to serve as case managers and to track and record our referrals to outside organizations. Again, our strategy really is based on this idea that if we build community out of our local school communities, then we can really be bridges to getting the resources that we often have that often get missed by the people who need them. And our staff do an excellent job of that. Other ways the funding supports our efforts. It supports each of our site directors in their efforts as we continue to support the growth that we've seen since the pandemic. We will continue with all 11 schools, over 250 students through the summer. Your participation, your partnership would be phenomenal in that. And into the fall, we look to transition as many students in schools as possible from this online remote programming into in-person programming, and your support would help us do that. And last, we have had a great increase. I'm guessing you're saying, oh, 1 more minute or something like that?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm so sorry, please.
No, that's okay. Really quickly, we've seen a great increase in our Spanish-speaking families and students. So one of the other things this funding would do is allow us to hire a Spanish language coordinator who could help us make sure that we're serving those families really well. Last thing I would say is this is a full Evanston effort with over 250 students, 300 family members, 300 District 65 members, 400 volunteers. We would love to have the partnership of the city and really keeping that a full Evanston effort around educational and racial equity for our young people, our precious children in Evanston. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, next, Siani is going to present, and I saw Deepa and Carol
committee members should be able to ask any questions. And I think we are going to have to be a little more rigorous on time, everyone. So we are going to have to figure out a warning system just so that we can help keep people on time. But please, committee members.
I thought that was very comprehensive. I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Then we should probably just go on to the next. All right, thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, Ms. Hammock has been moved back to attendee status, and I promoted Carol Pesky, who had her hand raised.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to share our thoughts and to understand the needs that we are trying to address. My name is Carol Teskey, and I'm the Executive Director of the Child Care Network of Evanston. Our phone number is 847-475-2661. Our website, childcarenetworkofevanston.org. And you can reach me at teskeyc@childcarenetworkofevanston.org. Our office is located at 1335 Dodge Avenue. We always say we're across the street from ETHS and halfway down to the Burger King. Our mission is to connect our youngest learners in our community and their families to essential early childhood experiences to promote family stability and school readiness. We're committed to making sure that all children in our community from birth to age 5 have access to high quality early education and childcare. Basically, we are just trying to make sure that all the children in our community have what they need to succeed and what they deserve to receive to succeed. With our home visiting program, which is funded by Head Start, Early Head Start, and where our home visitors, parent educators visit families for an hour and a half in their homes each week. And with our partner childcare sites through Head Start funding and Preschool for All funding, and with the support services we provide, some of which has been through the Learning Together program that the city has supported, we touch the lives of over 500 eligible children each year. What makes them eligible? Well, I'll give you a few examples. There might be a child attending the Head Start classroom and the McGaw YMCA program that is located in the Family Focus building. And what made them eligible was income. For instance, if a mother and 2 children in a household of a mother and 2 children, they would be eligible if they make less than $21,960. Another child might be enrolled and eligible for our services in one of our partner childcare sites, a PFA site, showing through a screening, developmental delays and in need of extra support. And yet another child enrolled in a local childcare program with language delays and is exhibiting behavior, some behaviors that need to be supported and addressed through mental health consultation, is also an indicator or an eligible family. So that last example is actually a typical scenario of why we need and why we're asking for this funding. We are looking for it so that we can support and counsel and coach teachers, teaching teams, parents, and children. That is what the Learning Together program, and that's how it is set up. That's the pathway we use in order to support families in a more comprehensive way. Now, with the pandemic, we all faced a lot of challenges, but we also saw some really great things happening with our families. And one of those was the fact that young families who are still learning how to parent really took the responsibility to heart really became their child's first teacher with a little coaching virtually, especially in our home visiting program, which continued virtually throughout the pandemic. They really learned how to support their child's development and how to support them from a social emotional perspective. Also, families, we have found, especially as we're kind of coming back out, we have found that families who suffered a lot of challenges in the past and may have refused assistance or referrals for mental health consultation are now accepting that help. They're seeing, I think and it has been voiced, that they are seeing that their family situation is not that different than the rest of the world's, and that they are more apt to accept that help. Those are some great things that that our program does. I want to just mention too, during the pandemic, how hard our staff worked to bring needed supplies to families. Yes, we are an agency that is focused on school readiness and child development. But of course, during this last year, we really went to work to raise funds so that we could help with gift cards for food and all kinds of basic needs, diapers, rental assistance. Our organization had to take a little shift. We're now turning back, thankfully. We're not seeing that need quite as great, but I'm very, very proud of the agency and how it went right to work to help support our families in our community. We delivered art boxes, diapers, books, puzzles, games, etc., and needed formula to our families all over town. So I want to put that little plug in for our staff because I'm very, very proud to be part of it.
Carol, thank you so much. Can we pause for questions, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. I mean, obviously that's a really valuable service and services that you're providing. Can you talk a little bit about the case management piece and what that looks like?
Sure. We were actually quite pleased to shift into the case management model. And that's because we were actually already doing that, but we weren't collecting data in that way. So we are adapting a new data collection system, which is called Child Plus. We are familiar with it. We use it for Head Start. And we're able to put all kinds of information, referrals, conversations, all kinds of assessment information into this data system by child as opposed to by the therapist. So we're shifting to a more individualized approach, and we're really excited about it. We think that it is a very positive move for us in this program. I think we'll be able to pinpoint through reporting where the needs are and maybe deliver services in a more accurate way.
My apologies if you've already, oh, sorry, Jessica. My apologies if you've already answered this, but do you have enrollment caps, or I mean, do you sort of have restrictions on how many students you can serve at a time, or is that scalable with how many caseworkers?
Yes, so through the Learning Together program, we don't say no to anybody, but what that might mean is less time with everybody, or oftentimes it means that our therapists who have been with us for a long time are providing in-kind services, which they do each and every year. But we don't have a cap. We really want to serve everybody we can to the best of our ability with the resources we have.
Thank you.
Mine is more of a comment. I really appreciated the shout out to staff, especially going remote. And given how much of CNE is, done physically and, tangible. So it's good to see a bit of the shift, but also the continued hard work that you guys are doing.
Thank you. It really has been a community effort, and it feels good.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, Carol, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next we have family focus. And I saw Mark and Colette and Joanne Who would like to present for Family Focus, please? If possible, please raise your hand. And Colette, if you could unmute and turn your camera on, please.
Here we go. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I am Colette Allen, Center Director for Family Focus Evanston. We are located at 2010 Dewey Avenue here in Evanston. Our phone number is 847-475-7570. Our website, www.family-focus.org/Evanston. And if people would like to reach me or reach out to me, my personal email is Colette, that's COLETTE .Allen @family-focus.org. With me this evening is Shanaran Hilliard, who is Senior Vice President of Programs and Impact. Also Mark Brown, Director of Government Grants and Contracts, and Loretta Espute, Vice President of Regional Vice President of Centers, sorry. In years past, we've come to you to ask for your support of our after school and summer program. And you have generously supported that effort for many years. This evening, we are again asking for support of our youth development program, but asking you to help us deepen our impact for families we serve, formally adopting case management strategies. Family Focus has exemplary experience and expertise in case management. We have 2 programs here in Evanston which use the case management model. Our early childhood program visits families in their homes and together with parents track developmental milestones in children 0 to 3. If children are not meeting important benchmarks, families are referred to resources to help the child be prepared for school. And if needed, parents are directed to services that promote healthy parent-child relationships and healthy households. Our Family Advocacy Center provides supportive services for families in crisis through a partnership with DCFS. We use parent coaching, advocacy in the courts, parenting classes, and referrals to community service to ensure families stay intact or are reunited. The efficacy of the program is proven by our track record. Less than 2% of our families are re-reported to DCFS within 18 months. In comparison, the Illinois state average of 32% re-reported. Even though our after-school program has provided an abundance of resources for families and referred some of the families to internal and external services, the small staff, 1 full-time, 1 part-time, serving 60 families, is challenged to do this using coordinated case management, while at the same time providing a fun, educational, and safe environment after school and during the summer. We are asking the CDBG and Mental Health Board to support hiring a case management coordinator who will assist primarily the after-school and summer camp programs by improving communication with school social workers and other school personnel, enhancing the intake process, identifying the needs of the families, developing a service plan, and coordinating resources both internally and externally. The coordinator will be supervised by Vanessa Allen Graves, who successfully manages the Early Childhood Program and the Family Advocacy Center. Ms. Allen Graves has been with Family Focus Evanston for 18 years and holds an LCSW and an MSW. The pandemic laid bare the disparities in our community. Evanston is resource rich, but our participants often have no access to the resources due to a variety of barriers, be it transportation, access to technology, or a desire for privacy. The after-school staff led by Joanne Avery, who has been with Family Focus Evanston for 39 plus years, has done an excellent job of engaging youth, parents, and providing excellent academic support and enrichment, which has been our priority. And we too have been working remotely since last March. And I actually think the kids have had more activities than they did when we were in person. I just have a few more things to say. They also do everything they can to meet the needs of our families. However, the coordinator can ensure more families get targeted services needed to thrive by strengthening communication between the schools, the center, developing service plans, and making connections to service providers. We currently serve 218 families using case management, and we plan to enroll 30 to 40 additional families, concentrating on those enrolled in our youth development program. 96% of those families are Evanston residents. By connecting with targeted and coordinated services with our own programs and existing and new partners, we can move participants to self-sufficiency and stability. Thank you, and I'll take questions.
Thank you, Colette. Any questions from our panelists?
Hi, thank you so much, Colette. You know, the work that Family Focus does is so important to our community. I did have a question where I noticed that the requested amount is more than double what was given last year. So I just want to make sure that there was an increase in number of clients served in 2020, which I assume there probably was due to the COVID pandemic. When I looked at the unduplicated numbers, I was surprised to see the numbers of 258 and 218 repeated. Are you able to share, were they duplication of numbers, or are you able to share the number of clients served in 2020?
Yes, and that would be the 218. And what we hope to do is to serve an additional 30, 40 more with your support. And the reason we're asking for more money is to support this position and the benefits, et cetera, connected with that position.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. That was comprehensive. Thanks.
Thank you. And we look forward to a continued partnership. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. With no other questions, the Housing Authority of Cook County is next. I believe Emily Orenstein is here for the hack.
Hello. I have not used this webinar format before, so I was very surprised. Hi, my name is Emily Orenstein, and I serve as the Director of External Affairs at the Housing Authority of Cook County. You can reach me at eorenstein@thehack.org. There is no chat. That's EORENSTEIN at thehack, THEHACC.org. Or at 312-542-4799. And our 2 properties in Evanston are located at 1900 Sherman and 2300 Noyes. So the Housing Authority of Cook County, in a sense the suburban counterpart to the CHA, has provided safe and affordable housing for low-income seniors and people with disabilities in Evanston for over 40 years. We are a little different from some applicants in that we are first and foremost a housing provider. So our 2 multifamily buildings in Evanston currently house 202 people. I would like to give a brief introduction to those families and individuals that we house in Evanston because we serve a very vulnerable population and they have faced historic discrimination and marginalization. So all of our households have incomes below 60% of the median for the Chicago metropolitan area. That's the criterion for living in our housing. And the average household income is just over $13,000. So residents must be over 55 years old or have at least one disability. 71% of our residents do identify as people with disabilities. 84% are 55 or older, but we do have some younger residents who are people with disabilities, and these residents often have significant health needs. Additionally, 61% of our residents identify as Black or African American, and in total, 68% are people of color. Additionally, many of our residents have complex mental and behavioral health needs. Proper care of these needs is not only necessary for residents to live full and engaging lives and to engage with the wider Evanston community, but it's also necessary for these residents to maintain their housing because there are certain behaviors that can create health and safety issues for other residents or result in property damage. And based on HUD rules, sometimes they can negatively affect a person's ability to live independently and to maintain their housing. In these cases, especially, we try our best to support our residents, but it's vital that those residents receive the support that they need to continue living independently. One of the other things about these behavioral health issues is that they can also prevent people from seeking out resources and from seeking out care. So I would say that we serve a very hard to reach population. Additionally, especially with so many seniors, there can be issues with accessing technology. And a lot of our residents are also homebound, especially during the pandemic. They have been, understandably trying to stay at home as much as possible. So our goal with this funding is to provide a full-time employee to serve as a case manager, to help residents age in place and to maintain their ability to live independently and in the community with a high quality of life. So presently, again, since the vast majority of our funding is related to keeping folks housed, and it's often harder to come by funding to serve their needs, we currently have a case manager from Thresholds who visits both of our buildings for a total of 300 hours a year to provide case management services to residents. And we are seeking to increase that presence to a full-time case manager, which we believe is crucial to facilitate deeper relationships with our residents. So the Thresholds case managers currently work with residents at Perlman and Waltrip primarily on accessing healthcare, but also on accessing nutritious food and using technology, as well as general socialization. So the case managers have helped our residents with everything from making and attending doctor's appointments or finding a specialist to operating smartphones to renewing transit passes. There are a wide variety of needs that our residents have. Another benefit to working with Thresholds is that the case managers can facilitate referrals internally to clinical mental health services when clinical care is needed, which makes that process more efficient. And when they work with clients, the case managers work together with their residents to identify, what are the resources that you need most? What is it that's going to enable you to continue living independently, to age in place? And the aging process, of course, brings changes and sometimes increased levels of need. So it's very important that those plans be flexible and adjustable. So the case managers update those plans pretty often. I would say that the most important benefit that comes with increased funding for a full-time caseworker is that ability to form trusting relationships with residents. So what we've heard from our case manager so far is that there are some people where after a few months of seeing the case manager around, they are more willing to engage with them. At first they may really not be interested in talking to them, but once they become more familiar with that person, have some casual interaction, some casual socialization, they will be more willing to receive those services. So, building, oh, is that a T for time?
Yes, I'm so sorry, Emily, if we could just
Sure.
pause for questions, but thank you so much.
Hi, Emily. Thank you for that overview. So the full-time case manager coming in with this funding, will I forget how you describe their position, but the part-time, the person who spends 300 hours a year, will they still be around too, or will it just all solely go to the full-time case manager now?
I think we would make that transition to full-time.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I wanted to know, are you turning people who are eligible away? And then if so, how many and why?
So the demand for affordable housing is immensely higher than the actual supply. So we do have wait lists that we open periodically. But since our residents are their residents rather than just clients, the turnover is a little bit slower than perhaps other kinds of social service agencies.
Sure. Do you know how many people are on the wait list?
I can find that out for you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Irene Zaya. I better put on my video here. I'm from the Mental Health Board. And one of the questions I had as you were discussing this is, and in light of Donna's question, is the information we have shows that you've served 26 residents, Evanston residents, with the case management service. And is there a wait list for the case management service?
There is not. Anyone is welcome to come in. I would say that the primary difference is that there are a lot of residents who we could reach with someone that we believe we can reach with someone who is present full time and is a more stable fixture in the building that we are not currently reaching because we have someone who is only in a few hours a month. For some people, it's going to take a higher level of engagement to bring them in. And we believe that that's what we'd be able to do with a full-time staff member.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Any other panelist questions? Okay, Emily, thank you. Our next presenter will be from Infant Welfare Society. And I know I saw Stephen Vick and Tiffany Culpepper. Oh, good. Thank you, Tiffany.
Hello.
Hi, Tiffany. Good to see
Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, my name is Tiffany Culpepper, and I'm the site director for Teen Baby Nursery. We are located at 2010 Dewey Avenue in the Family Focus building. Our phone number is 847-864-6945, and the number to our main office is 847-491-9650, and our website is www.iwse.org. First, I would like to say we have been so grateful to receive the funds in the past to help us continue to serve the needs of our family. Teen Baby Nursery is a NACE accredited early child care center. We offer an early Head Start program to infants and toddlers ages 0 to 3, specifically serving children of teen parents and young adults ages 14 through 25. We are an educational program that serves infants and toddlers with a high focus on social emotional development area of learning. In addition to providing high quality education for our youngest learners, we do provide additional support to parents by means of a comprehensive case management services through our family advocate. And her role is to help families to set and work towards achieving SMART goals. And SMART goals are those that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. And it was mentioned earlier by another applicant about the Child Plus database. We do use that database to record and keep case notes for all of the families that we serve. So in regards to providing case management services, we are an early Head Start program. And within that is woven into the work that we do in working with educating our children, but also supporting the families in their growth. Our mission speaks to us being able to help support families on their journey to be advocates for their child's learning, and that help is given to them by means of our family advocate. And she, at the very beginning, sets and establishes a parameter of goals. And this is through a strength and needs assessment that all of it is documented in our database. So we currently offer case management assistance in about 26 high needs areas that range from crisis assistance, higher education, nutritional support, vocational training, employment, education, and even sometimes parent groups on postpartum care and also mental health consultation. And one of the huge components that to the work that we do actually does involve the engagement of a mental health consultant who works with the families, but also work with the children. And this has been especially crucial since the onset of the pandemic. We have seen a huge change in the social and emotional behavior in the children, but also in the parents that we serve, because once again, we are serving the youngest population of parents. So the funding that we have requested this year is for us to continue to offer services that will help us to support our families and the children. And since the outbreak of the pandemic, the need to increase our mental health services for the children and families has grown, but also we have seen the need to provide further support in the areas of developmental therapy, speech therapy, and also occupational therapy. So we just have seen a significant change and shift from times in the past, and we really do need the support of the mental health board to help us to continue to offer families. We are situated in the 5th Ward of Evanston, and as many of you know, is one of the highest need populated communities in the city of Evanston. And so we would be very grateful to receive support so that we can continue to provide this support to our youngest learners in the community that we serve. Any questions?
Thank you, Tiffany. Do any of our panelists have questions?
I just have a quick question. I think I remember reading in your application that you want to hire a family advocate, but are you saying that you have one already?
So, yes, so we currently have one, but she's not full-time. And so as part, she has like a dual role, which is huge, even though we have 16 children in our families, but the case management component to her position is limited because she only has a certain amount of hours that she can work on that aspect of the job. And so these funds will help us to support that and additional services that we are looking for to support the children that are in the center, but also the families who have been reaching out for more support, because COVID has changed the lives of all of us, but definitely our teen parents and young adults.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tiffany, thank you for that overview. In your application, you mentioned that you have some service agreements and MOUs with a list of organizations within the area. Can you describe a little bit of like what those service agreements and partnerships look like?
So as an example, we have an MOU with Evanston Township High School, and through that collaboration, we are routed to parenting teens or those teens who are pregnant. And through that MOU, we can connect directly to those families instead of going to do outreach. We have a direct link within the high school. We work with the social workers and the, I can't think of the exact title, the parenting program, to continue to support the students, because we have to make sure that they're going to class, that they're keeping up with their work, and giving them the opportunity to have their child in a place that is, one, educating them, but they feel safe. That's part of the relationship that we have with the high school and helping support our teen parents and the children that are in our program.
Okay, that was helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tiffany. So I saw in the application that 16 children is the maximum that you can, and then are you currently serving the 16 or do you have to wait till July, August for COVID restrictions to lift?
So we actually have been slowly increasing our capacity to serve children. And so right now we have 11 children enrolled, and we're increasing that each month. So by the end of June, according to our wait list, we will have 13 families, and then we have a few pregnant parents who have children currently enrolled in our program, where we keep a spot for them to enroll. But the reason why we are restricted to 16 children is because of space. So our program is situated inside the Family Focus building, so it's not a huge site. Our license is to serve 23 children, but we are an early Head Start program, and the cap in each classroom is 8 children.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions, panelists? Okay.
Thank
Tiffany,
you.
thank you so much. Next up is the James B. Moran Center. And do we have a representative from Moran Center? So please raise your hand. You know, I'm not seeing any hands raised. I'd like to move to Metropolitan Family Services, and if someone from Moran Center comes on, we can double back to them. Are there any objections to that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Great. And then Metropolitan Family Services, Jennifer Jenks. All right, Jennifer, we can see you.
Okay.
Are you able to speak?
Hello, and can everybody hear me okay? All right, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Jenks. I'm the Clinical Program Manager for Metropolitan Family Services, Evanston, Skokie Valley. Our offices are at 820 Davis, Suite 218 in Evanston, and 520 5210 Main in Skokie. The main phone number is 847-425-7500, and our website is www.metrofamily.org. Others on the leadership team are Roxanne Nava, our Executive Director of the Evanston-Skokie Valley region, and Haley Hansen, who is the team leader of our behavioral health programs. I did want to just say one thing. You had asked us to look at the summary, and from the summary, our Parenting Fundamentals program, unfortunately, we do not have that program anymore, and so that is not part of the application. So I wanted to let you all know that. And the families that will come into our program, the Evanston families, may be in the child welfare system, but it could be any families. So it's not specific to child welfare. So I wanted to just clarify those two things. Metropolitan Family Services has been serving vulnerable Evanston residents for more than 20 years. Metropolitan Services completely encompass the agency's mission of helping families to learn, to earn, to thrive, and to heal. In past years, MFS has provided behavioral health services, including therapy and case management, to adults and children in Evanston with the goal of strengthening the family. Metropolitan has provided services to families free of charge, and that would obviously continue. All services would be free to Evanston residents. Based on Metropolitan's priorities and the City of Evanston's priorities, we have developed a position to serve at-risk residents with comprehensive case management services to address complex needs. So often, clients receive referrals, but no one is following up on whether the client followed through. So often clients want to follow through on referrals, but barriers stand in their way and they do not have the time, the energy, or the optimism to take advantage of services, even though accessing those services would reduce their stress. One of our goals will be to remove the barriers and reduce the stressors. We will provide support and also help Evanston residents to build their own support networks. In working with Evanston families, MFS has identified the need for intensive and immediate referrals and linkage to services for individuals and families at the time that they call for services. Metropolitan wants to meet this need with services provided through a bilingual Spanish-English family coach. MFS is in the process of hiring for this position, which will be different from the role of a therapist who may also provide case management or a traditional case manager. One difference will be that the family coach will take the phone calls and engagement will begin at the time of that first phone call. The family coach's focus will be case management to address the immediate needs of the family in a variety of ways. Our services will be client-centered, and the service plans will be developed in partnership with the clients. The family-centered coaching model is an approach that focuses on the entire family and acknowledges that the family is the expert with the knowledge of what they need to overcome in terms of how they need to overcome the barriers and how they need to thrive. The model is trauma-informed and empowers families to remove barriers by giving them choices in the services they need, they decide to access. The relationship is transparent and collaborative and incorporates the whole family, all with fluid goal setting. The model understands how to improve outcomes for families, recognizing that families have certain strengths and need different services at different times to move forward. Importantly, family-centered coaching is rooted in the understanding of the institutional forces that prevent clients and their families from moving forward, including the long and persistent effects of systemic racism and poverty. The model relies on motivational interviewing to help develop goals with a specific implementation plan. Our vision for services is that the Evanston family or the individual who needs help is immediately screened for a variety of needs upon enrollment in the services. That screening will determine the referrals that will be needed, and then the family coach will work with the family to identify specific goals through service planning. The family coach will work with the family to meet those goals. For example, if a resident is looking for a job, the family coach will identify the steps needed and assist with the steps in the employment process. The family coach will also link the resident with resources in the community if available. If a resident is looking for an apartment, the family coach will assist and link. It is very easy to just give someone a referral and think that the job is done, but that is not the model that we are developing. With our model, we will provide the support that will help the client to move forward.
Thank you so much. Can we pause for questions, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the panelists?
Thank you, Jennifer. I just wanted to clarify while reviewing the budget, the Finnegan Foundation was able to give a generous donation for the 2021 year?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, did anyone else have any other questions? All right, Jennifer, thank you so much for your presentation. Next, we have North Shore Senior Center. I noticed that Kathy Honeywell is here and also Tish. All right, Kathy, if you could just unmute and start your video, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. My microphone is not always working, so I was hoping it would be good tonight. So my name is Kathy Honeywell. I'm the Director of Senior and Family Services at North Shore Senior Center. We're applying for case management services. Our telephone number is 847-784-6074. Our website is www.nssc.org. The address for our headquarters is 161 Northfield Road in Northfield, Illinois, 60093. And if you have questions and want to send me an email, you can reach me at khoneywell@nssc.org. On behalf of North Shore Senior Center, I'd like to thank the City of Evanston Mental Health Board and CDBG Committee for your ongoing support of our programs, as well as your commitment to ensuring that the needs of older adults and their families are served. North Shore Senior Center will be celebrating 65 years next month. We've been a long-established social service agency. We're a multi-purpose senior center. There's programs and activities at our headquarters. But I'm here to talk about our social services that we offer within the City of Evanston. We are designated by the Illinois Department on Aging as a case coordination unit. And as a case coordination unit, we assess for social determinants of health. We assess people for a variety of services and connect them to whatever services they may need, with the goal of helping people remain in the community how they choose to remain in the community and safe and secure as possible. North Shore Senior Center addresses case management needs of high-risk older adult residents with complex needs, beginning with a careful screening at intake, which is usually the client's first contact with the center. Information is obtained and includes, but isn't limited to, income, assets, physical needs, age, caregiver status. Then residents are assessed. When residents are assessed at that time to have complex needs, they are assigned to our Evanston Social Services Coordinator. This staff member works exclusively with Evanston residents and primarily those with high needs. Her caseload is smaller than other care coordinators so that she can have more intensive contact with people. The assessments completed during the initial meeting, which post pandemic will be in the home, address each of the areas mentioned previously, and a person-centered plan of care is created for each person. I'd like to give you an example of what that looks like. We've been working with a woman who is 93 years old, African-American woman living alone in subsidized housing. She is, her income level is poverty level. She has complex medical needs, and she needs assistance with all activities of daily living. So she needs help with bathing and eating, grooming, dressing, training, and transferring incontinence. She lives alone. She has some support from her church, but she has no family. And in light of her complex needs, she was assigned to our Evanston Social Service Coordinator. And following an assessment, we made arrangements for her to receive homemaker services to meet those physical needs, and to honor her request to not have somebody looking over her too much, we were able to have somebody come out and help her twice a week. We maintained close contact with her, and early on in the pandemic, she had said to her care coordinator that she was feeling that her stamina was decreasing because she wasn't leaving her apartment. And so we were able to access some emergency state funds to purchase a special walker for her and some masks, so that when the homemaker would come to see her, the homemaker would take her out for walks, and she felt better just being out and moving more. As time wore on throughout the pandemic, the care coordinator was meeting with her twice, calling her twice, every other week. And over time, it became apparent that she was becoming more and more emotionally distressed. She was socially isolated. She was feeling very lonely, but she didn't want more homemaker hours. But she was willing to work with the care coordinator and agree to change her homemaker hours so that the homemaker was coming every day instead of twice a week. She was also telling the care coordinator that she was having significant issues with the skin on her legs and feet because she couldn't reach them. And even though her doctor had given her antibiotic cream to put on it, she couldn't reach them. So with having the homemaker come every single day, well, 5 days a week, not only did her skin health improve, but her emotional health improved. And being able to provide that level of intensive case management, I think has truly served this woman and many other people on this caseload. And in an effort,
I'm sorry,
hold on.
would you be willing to take questions?
I would be happy to take questions.
Thank you. Does anyone on our panel have questions?
I have a question. Thank you, Kathy, for that. I'm wondering if you can just refresh my memory about the racial demographics of your clients and if you have any insights into maybe some of the disparities around that.
I need to look. I apologize. The racial demographics of our Evanston clients would be 5% Hispanic Latino, 10% Asian, 10% African American, and 75% white. I think we're actually one of the goals of the funding for this year is to look at strategic outreach in areas where we don't have many clients to see if that can help address some of these demographics. I think we just need to change our outreach, I think.
Okay. Do you have ideas of like places you would go, or do you all have a sense of what that might look like yet, or is that something to be developed?
It's something to be developed.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Kathy. Thank you for your presentation. I have a quick question for you. So I noticed kind of the expected number of residents that you would be serving in 2021 is greater in Evanston, is greater than what you served in 2020. And I noticed that your budget from 2020 was higher than it is in 2021. So how can you kind of help square that or reconcile that? How are you serving more with less?
We're hoping to serve more with more strategic outreach. We also receive funding from other sources, such as Title III of the Older Americans Act. So we're combining all of the funding sources to ensure that these needs are met by our staff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions, panelists? All right, well then, Kathy, thank you so much. I think our next up, we have a representative from Shore Community Services. Mary, can you raise your hand, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Alexandra. Alexandra will be presenting for Shore. Just when you think you know an agency representative, they all change, sorry. Alexandra, I'm sorry, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Alexandra Halilovic, and I'm Director of Shore Homes. Our phone number is 847-982-2030. And our website address is info@shoreservices.org. This year, we are celebrating our 70 years of service to people with intellectual and other developmental disabilities. Our birthplace happened in Evanston, where we started our first children's program. It was a school geared towards, there's a lot of people back in the times that said that intellectual residents with intellectual disabilities would never be able to learn anything, or never be able to, move on, or and we decided to start a school to show everyone that there is a possibility for people with intellectual disabilities, that they can grow and they can move on. So we currently service 37 Evanstonian children and adults. Some are in our ICF, IID, which is considered a long-term care. Some are in our SLA, supportive living arrangements, also in Evanston. And we are bringing in a lot of home-based services that are children and our adults in Evanston. Currently, we service clients with lifelong needs. We try really hard. Our case managers are trying really hard to help these individuals grow and move on and become independent. That's our biggest goal that we have, to help these people. We try to think outside the box, because I think sometimes what limits these people, the residents, is that people think, they can't do that. But we're really working on that really tremendously to help them grow. Now, we service clients anywhere from profound to mild intellectual and other developmental disabilities. We are trying to help them to achieve their full independence and live on their own. With this population, it's very difficult and very challenging. Most individuals have never learned how to read or know how to read, or take care of themselves, or cook for themselves, or money management is a very big thing. Currently, Shore is experiencing an aging population, especially in our long-term care. And we thank Evanston so much. We have such wonderful ombudsman liaisons that come over all the time. And we truly love that the Evanston Public Health has come in to do some of their trainings in our programs, because they really like to show the new employees how our Shore Homes East is, which is on 503 Michigan. With this aging population, we have had a huge increase in medical and mental, physical and mental issues that have been happening. There's an increased amount of doctor's visits, not to mention COVID, which I see that a lot of people mentioned the COVID. We are starting to experience some long-term effects with some of our clients, both on their physical and mental capabilities. And it's been quite a challenge. I think that with our social service agencies, we have had to quickly develop, increase development of our infection control. Our nurses have tripled their hours to come help. It's been quite a challenge, but we have survived. I gotta say, I think we've all survived. It's been tough. We also have our supportive living arrangements in Brummel in Evanston. This is where we have case managers that work night and day. Our case managers are on call 24 hours a day. I am on call, directors are on call 24 hours a day in residential. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to help them to achieve their goals, to move forward. And our supportive living arrangements kind of, that's their graduation program, and they move forward. Even there, they do have some support that they need, money management, so on and so forth. But we all, okay.
You know, I was going to let you finish your sentence. I'm sorry, but we would love to wrap up and allow the panelists to ask questions.
Really quickly, we work, travel, and play in Evanston. We would like to expand our home-based services with children also. I think it's very difficult with families, moms and dads, you know, to do things that they need to do, such as simple things as shopping and so on and so forth, to go to the store and not bring their children. So this is an ongoing thing. We have case management all the time, and we really try to help the individuals grow.
Thank you. Thanks, Alexandra. Yeah.
Sorry.
Can we open to any questions from panelists? Okay. Seeing none. Seeing no questions, thank you so much. And we do have
sorry, one more thing. I would really love to thank Evanston for all the help and support that you guys have given us over the years. You guys have been a tremendous help. We are very, very thankful. And we definitely miss those meetings that we have. So hopefully soon, once COVID is released, we'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have a representative from the Moran Center, but if it's all right with the committee, we'd like to hear from representatives from Trilogy and then Youth Job Center. So if the representatives, I know Hugh is here and Maggie, who would like to present for Trilogy, please raise your hand. Maggie, if you could just unmute, or I'm not sure if you're on video, but let us know if you're here.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
I'm trying to start my video. Oops, I apologize. Okay. Okay. Hello, my name is Maggie McGinnis. I'm the Intake Program Manager at Trilogy Behavioral Healthcare. Our agency's phone number is 773-508-6100. Our website is trilogyinc.org. Our office address is 1400 West Greenleaf, Chicago, Illinois, 60626. My direct line is 312-953-6261. And my email address is mmcginnis@trilogyinc.org. So Trilogy would utilize the case management service funding to increase our capacity to connect Evanston residents to our intensive case management teams. At Trilogy, individuals can be linked to either one case manager or a team of case managers who can assist them with things like working towards goals surrounding their mental health, physical health, finances, housing, linkage to community resources, and overall support with navigating our healthcare system and government assistance programs such as Social Security income, LINK, WIC, and TANF. In years past, we have utilized our Evanston Mental Health Board grant funding to be able to offer case management services to our Evanston residents who are uninsured, which included applying for and obtaining Medicaid insurance. Prior to such funding, we were limited to providing case management to those only already covered under Medicaid. As a behavioral healthcare agency, our case management services also entail facilitating clients' linkage to other providers and services within our agency, including our primary care providers, psychiatrists, individual therapists, group therapy program, supportive employment, occupational therapy, and receiving assistance with getting medications at our on-site pharmacy. Case managers also assist with getting referred and connected to other agencies and services in an individual's community. The frequency and length of our case management appointments are tailored to an individual's specific needs and corresponds with the level of care we've connected them to. At our highest level of care, our assertive community treatment teams, clients can meet with their case manager between 4 and 7 days a week. A steps down from this, our community support teams, clients can meet with their case manager 2 to 3 times a week. At our lowest level of care, recovery services, clients can meet with their case manager bi-weekly to once a week. In effort to support individuals to become more independent and self-sufficient, individuals take an active role in developing their service plan, including identifying goals they would like to work on and what supports they feel they will need to meet these goals. Every 3 to 6 months, clients and their case managers review their service plan to assess their progress towards their goals and identify any barriers to that progress. Should a client become increasingly independent, they can drop down to a lower level of care with the understanding that should circumstances change, they can resume services at a higher level. Immediate placement on our intensive case management teams is unfortunately not always available. Trilogy utilizes what we refer to as our linkage team to provide immediate and interim case management services until placement on a long-term team can be facilitated. It is with this team that we prevent turning away eligible clients and do not place anyone on a waiting list. In order to increase access to Trilogy services, case managers can provide services in clients' homes, in their community, and via telehealth in addition to having office appointments. To increase access to community resources, case managers support with transporting clients to and from their appointments in their cars, assist with scheduling transportation via their insurance, and help apply for reduced and free ride cards offered by the Regional Transit Authority. Since December 2020, we've had community linkage liaisons embedded in the St. Francis Emergency Room for 40 hours a week. They've been working in tandem with peer services to identify Evanston residents in need of mental health and substance abuse treatment. We are focused on connecting residents to needed services and in turn reducing need for accessing routine and ongoing care through the emergency room. Our increased presence in the Evanston community has aided us in enrolling residents as well as those that utilize services in the Evanston community. The case management grant funding would increase our capacity to do so and enroll at least 30% of new participants in the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions from our panelists?
Maggie, I have a quick question. Thank you for your presentation. What you mentioned in an effort to never turn anybody away or create a wait list, you have this sort of a linkage service. It sounded like it's a bridge service. How does that differ in terms of what the patient receives compared to the when they're a full member?
Yeah, so when they're getting connected to those like long-term case management teams, they're able to be seen more frequently. So that's going to be multiple times a week. The linkage team is providing like more like once a week or every other week appointments, and they're trying to address like immediate needs in terms of finding housing resources, getting linked to doctors, getting your medication. So trying to address those immediate needs while we're waiting to connect them to a team who can see them more often and address like the wider needs.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie. I noticed that in the application, it stated that there's hope for 75 residents for 2021. Is there any reason why it's less than the 90 that was served last year?
We've just found some challenges with COVID. We've had to kind of reduce our in-person intake hours. And so we're just trying to kind of be mindful of that with not knowing what the restrictions are going to be like. Our hope is that, especially now with the new CDC guidelines, that we can serve more people.
And then would you be able to share the percentage of the 90 residents from last year? Kind of the breakdown demographically.
I don't have that information available right now, but I can definitely get that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, the next agency to present would be the Youth Job Center. I know we have a couple of representatives. Ted, are you planning on, whoever's planning on speaking for the Youth Job Center, please raise your hand if it's Jude or Ted. Jude.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Jude Laude, and I'm the Director of Programs for the Youth Job Center. We are a workforce development organization serving youth ages 14 to 25, founded in 1983. I want to thank you all for inviting us to present our work and for your consideration. Our mission is success for young people in workplace and in life. And our aim is to grow our core services for young adults who are the most vulnerable in our community, such as those who are justice involved, those who are transitioning out of high school with no plans post high school, those who are experiencing housing insecurity, food insecurity, and other barriers to success. When a young person enrolls in for services for our organization, they first go through an employment training program, which we call workforce development, which is inclusive of workplace expectations, conflict resolution in the workplace, resume building, mock interviews, and we've also added a financial health component, which includes budgeting and other aspects of financial health. As they enter the Youth Job Center, they're assigned to a career advisor, which our career advisors facilitate our case management. And so there is an assessment given where we identify some of the assets and barriers to success for our young people. And so the career advisor also works with the participants on exploring careers and identifying ultimately a career. Some young people need immediate employment, so we place them on that track. For various reasons, they need to work right away. For those who are ready to make a commitment to a career, we have a career pathways program where we fund internships so they can gain exposure in the careers that they're looking at. And also we partner with teaching institutions so that they can receive their certifications, such as Oakton. So also from the information we receive from the assessment, any barriers that we identify, we partner with organizations from the Evanston Collective, such as the Moran Center for those who are justice involved, Kurt's Cafe for those who are justice involved and need basic workplace experience and skills. Also, we partner with Connections for the Homeless, for those experiencing housing insecurity, peer services, for those experiencing substance abuse. So our aim is to create a safety net as young adults transition out in this big world so that they do not become disconnected to work or school. And if they do, we all know that leads to negative social and could lead to negative social and economic outcomes. The case management, as I said, is handled by our career advisor, and we pride ourselves in personalizing the experience for our young people. We track our participants 2 and 3 years after they have enrolled with us to not only work with them on retaining employment, but also advancement. One of the initiatives that we're working on now is our equity initiative. And we're actually having conversations with our employers about best practices for equity in the workplace. The funding that we're looking for would partially fund salary and benefits for a staff person, career advisor, case manager. And then the other portion would be for our subcontractor, Kurt's Cafe.
Jude, thank you so much. Would you mind repeating the Youth Job Center's contact information? And then could we hold for questions for the panelists?
Thank you so much. I don't think I gave it. We're located at 1114 Church Street here in Evanston. Our number is 847-864-5627. Our website is youthjobcenter.org.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Panelists, any questions for YJC?
Thanks, Jude. I really appreciated hearing and learning about how YJC is engaging with equity with the different employers. I also noticed that there's also a staff equity team, but in addition, it's also on the leadership side with an equity committee of the board of directors. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. We put in place a standing board equity committee. And there was a conversation initially as to whether this would be an ad hoc committee or a standing committee. We're committed to equity, and because of that, we decided to make it a standing board committee because we realize that this will be ongoing work that we prioritize. So that board committee meets monthly, and they discuss issues regarding equity as it relates to the board and the direction of the organization in general. There is a working group that meets every other week, and that is led by staff, that is staff-led. And thus far, it's not easy work, but we're starting from the ground up and with the basic fundamentals like vocabulary, looking at racism. What does racism mean? What does systemic racism mean? And then also we went through the process of having identifying areas where inequity exists in our organization. We had a staff retreat, and staff and board were involved, and they were able to weigh in on those different challenges that we saw happening.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Jude, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And now we'd like to invite Patrick Keenan Devlin from the Moran Center to speak.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Keenan Devlin, and I proudly serve as the Executive Director of the James B. Moran Center for Youth Advocacy. Our address is 1900A Dempster in Evanston, Illinois, 60202. Our phone number is 847-492-1410, and our website is Moran-Center, spelled the American way, not the British way, CENTER.org. So I'm here to present tonight on the Moran Center's case management application to CDBG, and I'm really proud to present it tonight to all of you. So to give you a quick snapshot of the Moran Center was founded in 1981. This is actually our 40th anniversary of serving our community. and we are Evanston's only legal aid agency. And what is incredibly innovative about the Moran Center is that we have always paired from our founding mental health services. So we've always paired social work services with legal services, recognizing that the children and the families that we represent each and every day in our courts, in our schools, on our streets, have multiple factors that require not just a lawyer, but also a social worker and community support to help that child, that family, move past that legal crisis and really not just survive, but thrive. In the application that you see in front of you tonight, we are proposing to serve 111 unduplicated Evanston residents. And that's through a myriad of our legal services that are the direct referral points for our social work services, our case management services. So to give you a quick snapshot of our legal services, the core of our work, and that's been the core of our work since 1981, has been representing children and young adults up to the age of 26 in our criminal and justice system. And that includes both the adult criminal system and the juvenile delinquency system. We then also support Evanston residents who are re-entering from this broken injustice system, clear their criminal records through expungement and sealing. We have a specialized program that also helps Evanston residents appeal to the governor directly for clemency. And then also we support Evanston residents in seeking licensure waivers through the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. We then are on the other side of the broken system, trying to keep families and children out of the institutionalization pipeline, representing children with disabilities and children who are being excluded from school to stem the school to prison pipeline in our community. We then are also representing families in partnership with those same schools that we are often adversarial to, working in their school principals' offices, in their libraries, in their cafeterias, working with families to identify destabilizing factors such as unemployment benefits, denial of public benefits such as food stamps, supporting families who are facing eviction, particularly in this moment of the pandemic and this moment of international and national crisis. And then we are also part of a greater vision of building a restorative community. And we have a restorative justice initiative within our agency that tries to not just be a Band-Aid like often lawyers and social workers are, but try to actually change systems for the better. And so we can drive ourselves out of business, which should always be the aim of every nonprofit. All of our legal services funnel into our case management and our social work services. And so the 111 unduplicated Evanston residents that we are seeking to serve is paired with our budgetary request that you also see in front of you tonight. That $75,000 request would fund 28% of salary and benefits of our current full-time director of social work services, fund 52% of salary and benefits for one social worker, and fund 44% of a second current full-time social worker. And the last thing I'll just say is the social workers at the Moran Center serve their clients incredibly holistically. And so it is not just about case management, it also is about therapeutic supports. And it is also about connecting families, which I think is the intent of this new vision of CDBG, to be a spiral of connecting families to critical services. And the Moran Center has been part of a movement recently in our community to bring all of our youth serving agencies together, 9 in fact, so as our social workers can more easily connect clients to health services through Erie Family Health Center, more easily connect children and families to homelessness prevention and stabilization services through Connections for the Homeless, better connect families to my colleague Jude at Youth Job Center so as they can have a better footing in getting economic stability and really being set up for economic success in the future. So that's the Moran Center model. That's how our case management system works. And that's our budgetary request. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you, by the way, for your patience with me. I'm sorry for logging in late. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Panelists, any questions?
none for me. That was thorough. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
None here either. Thank you for the work the Moran Center continues to do.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Okay, seeing no questions. Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right, so that concludes our agency presentations for tonight. The Joint Mental Health Board and Housing and Community Development Act Committee will hear agency representatives primarily for safety net service applications on Tuesday, the 18th. So that's this coming Tuesday. We currently have other business on our agenda. Sarah, do we have other business?
We do not, other than to just double check to make sure there is no public comment.
Yes.
Jessica, there was a YOU application. Are they not presenting?
There was a YOU application, yes, for case management. They're also presenting for Safety Net, and given the number of panelists in case management and the fact that they had two, we shifted them over. So you will hear YOU present both Safety Net and case management at our next meeting. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
We try to balance the meetings where possible too.
Much appreciated.
I'm actually going to pop back on. I guess one of the things I really value is if committee members, if you have any thoughts on things that could just help things go more smoothly, or if things are going okay, it's new to all of us to try to do this via Zoom. So any way we can learn and improve, we'd like to hear from you all on any ideas or thoughts.
Yeah, hey Sarah. No, this was good. I enjoyed just hearing about all the just different agencies and what they want to do with the grant money. I think one thing that would be helpful though is sometimes, obviously they've got a lot of impassioned statements written out and they really know a lot about their organizations, but I think maybe having a display of what exactly why they need the money and what they're asking it for, potentially maybe just put up on a PowerPoint slide or something like that. I don't know how that would work necessarily through Zoom, but just anything like that, just to help kind of ground, here's what they're talking about and here's what it ultimately will go toward, would be really helpful.
I appreciate that. I honestly do not know how we will work it out for this round. I'm hoping actually we won't be doing Zoom forever, because I think there is a lot. One of the things that we did allow is visual aids and things like that. And sometimes people would be handing things out. We have to look at trying to improve how to get that kind of information. But I just don't know that we can get that implemented in this year. So I'm going to make a note of that and try to work on that in the future. It's also hard because we also have technology differences, and if we would have to get them way in advance, put them up, and so it's kind of a balancing act.
I was only going to say that I think this was helpful, having had a chance to read through the applications, but then sort of hearing from folks directly, it's another way for them to convey what's most important to them. And having an opportunity to ask questions was great too. So I appreciated this opportunity.
And we did have a few things that agencies said they would provide. I always take notes and we'll go through that. But anything that was to be, that people were going to provide. I remember a question about demographics for Trilogy clients, for example. We will get that information and get that out to all the committee members.
Actually, Sarah, if I could just say also, if committee members think of questions, please feel free to send them to staff, and then we can put that in the questions in the extra section for Zoom grants and let agencies know that there are questions pending, and maybe give them, the agencies, some time to respond. That's something that we've done in the past.
Good point. Remember, Jessica knows this way better than I, as you can see. In fact, what we should probably do is make sure that we put those in so that then they are the questions that came up tonight that were to be answered, so that those get answered in the system and you all have that and have the documentation of it. Using your
we'll compare
technology
notes.
is.
I think for me, I'm just a little remiss that we don't have more of our committee in here. But I also want to share, I'm enjoying using Zoom grants as another way of being able to compare and look at things. It's very convenient and helpful.
Great, good to hear that.
I just wanted to say that considering the limits that we have for Zoom, I think it's pretty good as far as presentation.
Great, thank you, Demita. Appreciate hearing that. All right. If there is.
Oh, sorry, Sarah, I didn't mean to interrupt. What were our deadlines for reviewing and scoring the case management applications?
Jessica and I will have to get that to you. I mean, one of the things is we don't want to tell you all that there's an absolute deadline, because quite frankly, we don't even know who all our committee members are. But one of the things that I know is very helpful is having a deadline. So we will get you what we would appreciate. I mean, we do not expect that we will be making allocations until June. And the other thing that we have yet to do is identify the areas of the types of services that we need to work with agencies who are interested in providing fee-for-services opportunities. And one of the things we asked for and hope to get more details on from case management agencies is what services can't they get people into? That was one of the questions, and we didn't get. We're still looking at that, and we will probably end up meeting with applicants as a group to try to get more specifics on that. That is not necessarily something that has to be allocated all at once. One of the things that we did in our discussion is we said we may not know everything all at once. We don't have to allocate everything all at once necessarily, but so we will probably recommend holding a certain amount of money just if we haven't worked all that out, to give us the option. And then perhaps if there isn't uses, the committees could, there could be a ruling on if these fee-for-services needs do not meet this by X time, can we distribute to the agencies, some way of distributing that money. We don't want the money not to be used, because it's not that we don't think it's needed. And of course, one of our challenges is ideally we would have all been doing this last summer, but we got kind of derailed by this darn thing called the COVID pandemic. So we as staff really appreciate all of the patience and everything that you all have given us and our agencies as we try to work out this whole new system. So again, really, thank you very much. And thanks to all our agencies who have just done yeoman's work for not just the last year, but even more in the last year, when they've had to rejigger how they provide services and all that stuff in the middle of they're really the only national emergency that the United States has ever had. That's even more than that. So anyway, I really appreciate everybody's work on with all of us, and we'll be getting out the packet for next week shortly. So hopefully tomorrow, so you have time to read it over the weekend. We know that's just what everybody wants to do. Thank you. Anything else, Jessica?
No, just to reiterate, thank you to all of the agency representatives. We read through the applications. We appreciate all the hard work, just to echo everything that Sarah said. And thank you for your presentations tonight. Thanks.
All right. And since we don't even we didn't officially declare a quorum. And the reason we didn't do that is because we knew we weren't going to have all the people. But we really think that not only is it important for the committee members who can come, you get to hear, you get to ask questions, but it also helps our public. One of the things that we want to provide people the opportunity to see is how the city is evaluating spending money to serve our neediest residents. So that's an important part of what these meetings help provide is information to the public and the packets too, which is why we PDF all that stuff. So really, thank you all very much. And we should just all sign off and get a little bit left of our evenings to ourselves, right? All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.